Welcome back, everybody, to 0.Point Reviews with Kevin and Jeff. Happy New Year, everybody, or as Trading Places would say, Merry New Year. We are talking about the Dan Ankroyd and Eddie Murphy flick from 1983, right before Ghostbusters. Kevin, buddy, you ever seen this one before?
No. No, I hadn't.
What the fuck, really?
Swear to God, like I've seen like maybe the last 20 minutes of this. I've seen the train scene basically from the train scene on. Yeah. I've never seen the beginning of this movie, and it's like Shawshank Redemption. I've never seen it from start to finish.
And I've not even seen 30 seconds of that movie either.
It's more than you need to. But this, I always felt like, should I buy this? And it's always so cheap at Walmart. So you're like, I'll get it next time. And 43 years have gone by like that. Almost 44 at this point. Well, 40 for the movie, but God damn, it's funny as shit. And I'm so stupid for not having seen it earlier.
Well, for full disclosure, Kevin did not have a copy, so I ripped a copy off my DVD so he could get that. I don't have a Blu-ray player that is capable of ripping things, unfortunately. However, I was able to get that to Kevin, so he got to see it for the first time, so we'll maybe have some fun screen grabs. But I have been a fan of this for years. This is one of those I got from my aunt on my dad's side. I've talked about my Aunt Mary from my mother's side. She's got me The Last Starfighter, The Wraith, things like that. However, my aunt on my dad's side of the family, however, has got me into Married with Children, Trading Places, and The Secret of My Success. So thank you, Aunt Lori. This has been one of my favorites since I was a kid. And this is a fun one for me. I would love to see this on the big screen, but this was Eddie Murphy at his peak and prime. He was rolling through Beverly Hills Cop, another 48 Hours at the time. This movie, quite a few others, The Golden Child. And then towards the later end of the 80s and beginning of the 90s, he kind of tapered off into more family-friendly fare because he became a married man and had some children, and it was decided he needed to tone it down a notch. So we didn't get Eddie Murphy raw or delirious anymore, but we still have the 80s Eddie Murphy, and this is a fun one for me. I love this movie.
Yeah, out of the others that you mentioned, I maybe this might be the best of him out of all of those. I mean, Axel's pretty goddamn funny. He's classic, of course. The Golden
At least
Child,
the first two Beverly Hills Cop movies.
And I try not to recognize the third.
There's a couple moments in the third one, but the first two are pretty badass. Another 48 Hours, those are great, but those are more action-packed. This is more of a straightforward comedy drama to a point, but it really accentuates his comedic timing and skills, and it works very well. And when he does ultimately share the screen with Dan Ankroyd, they are such a comedy duo. It's like magic come to life.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about it a bit before, where the question always pops up on the interwebs: what would have been like, or think of what it would have been like for Ghostbusters had Eddie Murphy been able to do that, because he had to drop out because of scheduling conflict. Now, Ernie Hudson.
Oh, it was a scheduling conflict. I didn't know that. Okay.
That's, yeah, from what I understand, he had to drop out as a scheduling conflict.
I'm pretty up on things like that, so I actually didn't remember that. So that's pretty cool. Thank you.
I may have to double check. I may have just made that up.
I would not be surprised. He was pretty busy during this time in the 80s, because Ghostbusters was like the next year. He might have been shooting this and like another movie at the same time. So it might have been a problem for him.
Between 20 and 24, Eddie was so fucking huge. And 26, I'm sorry, beyond huge. Like you said, like, dude probably never, ever stopped moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, him and Ankroyd were like on fire at this time, between this, Ghostbusters. I know Dan Ankroyd did a bunch of other like comedies at the same time. I don't specifically remember the year, but I do remember people are going to be like, oh, that's a horrible movie. But Dr. Detroit, he was fucking fantastic in that movie. I love that movie, but nobody fucking remembers that movie.
Bullshit.
And I want it. Well, not you, of course, but honestly, he was still the same kind of thin figure he was in like this and Ghostbusters. So it's right around that time period where, all these guys were just from Saturday Night Live. They were like on fire through the 80s with their comedy shtick, and it translated to movies very well. And it's given them large careers for like beyond that, whether they've sticked with that R-rated type of comedy, or they've gone down to PG, or they've gone off into genres, or whatever direction they've gone off into. Whatever you say about them now, their career, and this movie is like an encapsule of that time period where they were like legitimately on fire, where everything just worked. Now, do all the jokes land today? Is this movie going to carry forward to today and it, keeps with modern thinking? Maybe not, but it's still a fun movie for a lot of us that grew up during the 80s. It reminds us of what we grew up in when there was a different sense of sensibilities going on.
Yeah. The only part to me that's like a huge like eye twitch was the homophobia, because it was so nonchalant. Like, that part wasn't supposed to be naughty at the time, as opposed to the racial things that was going to happen on the screen.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Fuck.
I Zero.Pointed my co-host. We found the magical button on StreamYards about like video clips. So you're going to start to see a little more of that included with our videos to throw each other off.
I am so down for that, because I came prepared tonight.
Oh shit. He's got the screen grabs and I got the video clips, and I only got 2.
Well, it's you can't make jokes in a comedy because it's like, putting the hat on the hat. It's too many hats and it looks stupid. Yeah. This movie had a whole lot of room for fun. Die Hard had a whole lot of room for fun. Violent Night did, but not so much. Like, it's fun to watch, but it didn't leave so much room for us to fidget with. This, God help me, did. Like, I think the first 3 pictures I made were very good and reflecting of the picture that we're going to see, or the picture that we watched. And maybe past the 3rd one, when the movie really picks up, is where everything is going to hit the fan.
I think I know what that 3rd one is. Thank you, Jamie Lee Curtis, for this movie. And I haven't seen any of his screen pictures, so I'm just saying.
Now, did you see how far down she's building this movie?
Well, yeah, they show in order of appearance with the credits. So that everybody's just completely, when you watch, I know a lot of people don't watch credits these days. They don't even give 2 shits. They're just more concerned about, is there a mid-credit scene? Is there a post-credit scene? For some of us older people, we like to watch the entire credit sequence to the very end. And back in the 80s and sometime into the 90s, they did in order of appearance. So you might have been Eddie Murphy, you might have been Dan Ankroyd, but you actually weren't like until the 12th or 13th name on the credits in order of appearance, because you didn't show up for the first 5-7 minutes of the movie.
Kind of like in I think it was Metal Gear Solid 4, when you going through all the end credits and you're seeing who the voices were and shit, you see Hideo's name, God, and you're like, wait, when did that happen? And all of a sudden, if you did the right thing, you'd start hearing Hideo Kojima narrating something in God's voice. You're like,
shit, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's part 4. Check it out.
Oh, fuck. Tells you how much of a good gamer I am with Metal Gear Solid.
And then they did that to you in Ghostbusters Afterlife, where it's like you go through all the credits and then it says and Sigourney Weaver. You're like, did I miss that?
I thought she was in that movie. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
Does she have voiceover?
No, there's a very brief scene between her and Venkman. It's cute.
Anyway, she wasn't in this movie, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, there's no racism and bad things in that movie. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Those guys. The fucking best line of the whole movie. It ain't cool being no jive turkey so close to Thanksgiving.
Pretty much. Those two guys almost stole the movie for me, and they were only in it for literally like maybe 3 or 4 minutes. The cell scene, and then at the drinking party scene when they were back at the mansion.
Yeah. Did they actually show up in the mansion?
Yeah.
That's right.
Because they were drinking, and he told them all to basically
Get the fuck out.
Well, I might have to watch the nudity on that clip and post.
You know, there was so much to it that you had to blink it for a second. You're gonna miss a boobie.
Well, there was quite a few boobage in this movie. Hey, if you're all a fan of like nudity in movies, go to Mr. Skin. This movie is up on the top of the scale for the 80s.
Did not realize that was going to happen.
Well, it's got Jamie Lee Curtis, who is affectionately known in that time as Jamie Lee Curtis, the Body.
I did not realize that at the time.
She had a nickname during that time because of this movie, I believe.
No relation to Jesse?
No. If there was a body between Jesse and Jamie, it was Jamie all the way.
I had a picture.
Crawl into bed with me wearing a thong like that.
I had a picture of my reaction to seeing that because I did not know
your
that
reaction.
Was this was about.
Where's my red stapler?
Yeah.
That took me for a loop. I was like, okay. And her character was so cool. Like, I was going to save this for the end, but God help me, for as debaucherous as this movie can be, and as mean-spirited as a lot of the comedy is supposed to be, or the characters are supposed to be, this is a dope kind of family flick. I liked it.
Yeah, when you end up seeing this movie on, say, like USA Channel or whatever channel it might be on, they typically edit out all the swearing and the nudity, and it's still a good movie with even out all of that stuff. But this movie was originally intended to be for adult audiences. It just so happened that a lot of us children and teenage boys during that time kind of gravitated to this bad boy, even on rental shelves later. Because I remember, Frank, I saw this on USA Channel before I ever saw what real movie this was on VHS tape. And then after VHS, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is a different kind of fun movie. I need a towel and about 20 minutes and I'll be right back.
The lady that, like, he goes into his room and then there's the lady like in bed with booze already. And I respect him saying get out because he doesn't want HPV.
I'm ready, Billy Ray.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, good times, me too. What a quinky dink. Sorry, just how often is that going to happen to you? In his particular situation going forward, probably quite often. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I liked Billy Ray's transition.
Well, he ended up at the end of the movie with a very beautiful woman on the beach with him.
Yes. And he was feeling good. Eddie is just like his
How you doing, Lewis?
Looking good, feeling good, which is so very 80s. This movie was very much 80s in the large way, the same way that RoboCop kind of represented the 80s. Like where you
Oh,
see
hell yeah.
this moment where they're going through his belongings in prison, which
Frank Oz, man.
you see who's going through his belongings, which goes through his belongings later on in life. It goes through all of his credit cards, and the more credit cards he reads off, like the higher up Dan's chin goes because he's so proud of it, like medals of honor and courage. It's very 80s.
Very 80s from Frank Oz.
But that having been
like
said,
a BBC television show.
that having
The
been
80s with
said,
Frank Oz.
Frank Oz did everything in the 80s. He made the 80s great, 70s and 80s.
Oh, Frank was fucking dope. It was nice to actually see him in an actual picture as himself.
Yes. And where I like this more than Blues Brothers, all joking aside, is you get to see him playing that character that he plays on that movie, but they give him a little bit more depth by buying him off.
Right.
And so it's like he's doing his job, but then kind of like fucking him over all at the same time. And it was funny as hell.
God damn it, Clarence Beeks. You couldn't be as good as Clarence in RoboCop. Clarence needs to be a bad villain named motherfucker.
Clarence was cool.
Yeah.
But speaking of Frank Oz, he helped illustrate a point here. Did you know that Irish moms tell their boys that this is 12 inches?
That's what she said.
Indeedly.
Yeah.
So, but no, this movie starts out really cool. It's a fun way of swapping the prince and the pauper. So I mean, you know kind of how the story's gonna go, but it's a fun journey, and it's very stereotypical with Dan being a snoot that's never been outside of Wall Street, really bumps into a black guy, so he thinks that he's getting attacked.
That is so ridiculous because he even says, like, dude, I'm just trying to give you your briefcase back. Literally on the spot, not even like 20 minutes later as some sort of weird exposition. It's, dude, here's your briefcase. And he's like, you're robbing me. You're robbing me. Oh my God, thief. And it's like,
yeah.
Eddie's just standing there like, yo, bitch, your briefcase. What the fuck?
Just take it. And then this part here where all the cops are pointing their gun at his face, that is like
That's
the most
fucking awesome. I love that scene.
It was funny as hell, but it's pretty realistic and unfortunate. So you're like,
yeah, it's a little, it can be a little cringy these days, but back in that day, it was one thing.
Yes. And again, you have to figure like Eddie Murphy at this point in his career was not a small star where he had to like bend to a studio's like
whim.
Degrade yourself this way. I don't think Eddie would have done that had he not wanted to. Like, had he not been okay with anything in this movie, he probably wouldn't have done it. At least I hope not.
Oh, I would have said he had clout at this time. He was a big time comedian on even like comedian touring stage, Saturday Night Live, everything else. Basically, at this point, he could stand up if he wanted to for like this, that, or the other. That's ultimately why eventually he turned to the more family-friendly fare, because he could say, okay, I'm done with this R-rated stuff. I'm doing this now, and that's the way it's going to be. And he still worked hard for a lot of his roles, Nutty Professor, things like that. It's just before that, he was earning more movie clout with movies around this time. So he was doing Another 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places, The Golden Child. I know The Golden Child didn't really like set the box office on fire or anything like that, but that was more like 86. I mean, at this time, this was still the sweet spot for him. He was still having more hits than misses, and so he still had some power. If he didn't want to do anything in this movie, he wouldn't have even been in it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't Yeah, wouldn't have even gone past the bargaining table or the read.
He would have read the script and been like, nah, that's not for me. Give it to somebody else. But he had to like something out of this movie because even Dan Ankroyd did this movie. And this is not a sci-fi genre movie for Dan Ankroyd, and that's his wheel well.
Especially at the time, working on a space sci-fi ghost movie.
Or eventually the Coneheads in the early 90s.
I never saw that. I had no desire to see it, but I was never a fan of the Coneheads from SNL.
All right, everybody. If you want us to do the Coneheads movie, I want 3 comments below and at least 10 likes on this video. You do that, we will do it at some point this year, just for Kevin.
But I don't want to, Daddy. I didn't want to.
Dude, I think that movie's dope, but it's got Jeffrey Jones in it, so you may or may not be okay with that. We'll see.
Jeffrey Jones doesn't necessarily bother me. Like, he's not Roman Polanski in my eyes. I'm not saying he's a fucking okay dude. I'm not going to go hang out with him when I certainly wouldn't let him hang out with my kids. But he is Charles Dietz. He is the fucking bad guy, the scariest motherfucker in Howard the Duck. And I guess, and again, in a parent's view, kind of scary around your kids. So, anyway.
But with Clarence Beeks, hey, we got at least a pretty good villain outside of the Dukes in this movie.
The Dukes. Yeah, we had Dwayne. This part where he was making fun of the gorilla, like, the faces he was making was killing me. And then, like, the utter glee that he was getting when shutting the curtains. It's like,
oh, I know, right? Well, and even later when he got subdued and he was thrown into the gorilla cage.
Into the gorilla cage. Which, again, Frank Oz wanted to help demonstrate the average gorilla penis, when erect, is actually only 3 to 6 centimeters long. I had to double check that. Like, centimeters? Gorilla? Really? Cool. So if she ever tells you you're hung like a gorilla, kids, go ahead and just leave. And the gorilla's got this, like, confused look on his face, and you can't tell what he's saying, but it translates pretty easily. Like, motherfucker.
And love in his eyes.
Yeah, he gets beaks.
Yeah.
He takes beaks on pleasure cruise from, like, Pittsburgh to fucking Congo.
Well, let's just put it like it is. He goes to Pound Town with Clarence Beeks.
Yeah.
Because in the very end, when they're like, "Oh yeah, Clarence Beeks, I wonder what happened to him," that defeated look on his eyes of like, "Oh fuck, I'm dead."
I messed up. Like I said, I thought that the Dukes were embezzling because the name Clarence Beeks sounded so fucking fake that they're like, "Oh, okay, wink, wink, we'll just get that person."
Yeah.
And then they show who Clarence Beeks was, and it's like, oh, he's one of those Pinkerton fuckers. Okay.
Ponzi schemes.
Kinda, yes. Thugs.
Thug life, man.
Cheaper cops. Anyway.
Well, Clarence Beeks was buying off fucking everybody in this movie. He was a really good bad guy as a henchman for the Dukes, who wasn't really a henchman. And then they ended up taking advantage of the situation. And of course, he got into the gorilla cage and everything. But then they convinced the Dukes they were giving them the wrong report. And they kind of swindled the market with insider trading, which there's plenty of other videos on YouTube and out there about what really happened at the very end with the buying and the buying low, selling high and everything. And they explain what happened in the movie and whether it really worked or not. But ultimately, for, the masses watching this movie and even checking out a review video here, it ultimately pays off in as far as like the narrative of the movie. So much is happening at one time. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But they end up winning because We got a bet going on, yo. $1.
$1.
Tevin's got a Tubi.
I got
And
the Tubi.
So,
Yay!
we're gonna bet here, right here. We get
$1,
more than
Bob.
20... Down. I was gonna say, if we get more than 20 likes on this video, Kevin gets $1 from me.
Yeah.
If we get less than 20, he's got to give me the $2 bill.
Oh hell. I'd probably owe it to you for something.
So let's hit that like button, comment below. Let's see what we can do here. Come on, work with us, folks.
Yeah, don't hit it more than once though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I won't keep hitting that button through the rest of the video.
I will. See?
Yeah.
You know, I can't wait till this gets a 4K release.
Well, Paramount did put out a new Blu-ray on this, and I do have that. I watched that with my wife, and she really enjoyed the movie too. She's seen it like once before with me, and this was now the second time. She really enjoyed this movie as well, and she found it very funny. She just felt it was maybe just a tick long. I've been watching this since I was like freaking like 12, so for me this ain't nothing. This 2-hour movie feels like a swim as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't really get boring at any time. It slows down here and there, but it only slows down just enough to then bring you right back up to speed with what's going on with the story. The only time it kind of gets maybe just a little weird is when he goes into a Santa outfit and he gets very depressed. He tries to frame Billy Ray, and then he tries to off himself at some point, which is very awkward and feels a little out of place, but at the same time it feels like he's going down a very dark path at that time, which is what the Dukes were intending to do with him. I don't think they intended for him to try and kill himself though.
No, just commit a crime or
they just wanted to send him
bottom.
down the criminal path, really.
Yeah. And I thought where that lag is, I think, is the two different types of humor that are being utilized at the same time. Like Billy's is much happier and yeah, it's just happier. I can't say that word. Dan's is more morose, of course, and it gets to that point where even a dog is pissing on him after he's like humiliating himself eating smoked salmon
through his Santa beard. Smoked salmon through the salmon beard on a city bus because he didn't have his butler or his limousine or his credit cards. His bank assets were frozen by the IRS. Motherfucker.
Ma.
And then he tried to go to the club to get a loan from his friends, especially Todd and his former fiance.
See, that's one of those times they didn't show anything happen to them, but they could have like put like at the end, like someone accidentally threw a grenade into the men's room or some shit and they all died. I don't know, but those guys were all fucked and ready to go.
Well, there was a typical trope during the 80s for some of these comedies of like at the end credits, this person then married this person and lived happily ever after. And this person became a senator and became happily ever after. And they would sometimes do that. You know, you look at something like Animal House, things of that nature, where they give you basically like a quick little scene and a picture, and they basically tell you how their life ended up, which would then resolve the need for a sequel. As far as I'm concerned, never do a sequel to this movie. It is not necessary. Please don't even remake it, you dumbasses. They're probably thinking about it because they need money, but this is not the movie to do that with. This is perfectly fine as is.
But just hear me out.
Oh, fuck, Kevin.
What if there were dinosaurs on that island?
Get the fuck out!
I thought it would have been cool. The coffins would have been looking good. Feeling good.
You know, Deep Rising did that just fine, and you hated that fucking movie, but I loved it. So,
You know, that wasn't a dinosaur that we know of. That was supposed to be King Kong, and that made it even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. A giant flute worm. Anyway, one of the ones that go up your pinto.
well, at least for the people that we were following and the characters we grew attached to during this movie, I know Jamie wasn't in this movie like a whole lot, but she had really good chemistry with Dan Ankroyd. So when they started intermingling together and understanding one another, I felt like, you know, this is actually okay for like a little bit of a drama movie. There's something to really pull you in for the sweet moments in this movie. Now, there's a lot of like sarcasm and dry humor in this movie. So if you're not into that, this movie ain't going to be for you like at all.
Or the
Like
melancholy of failed suicide.
bingo. There's a lot going on in this movie. So if you're looking for lighthearted humor, this is the wrong movie for you. This is the right movie for us two yahoos.
And like I said, it's a family film.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's a bit of a family film. It also, if you're really looking for something to inspire you to be like, you know what, this is what I'm good at. I'm gonna fucking do this until the wheels run off. This is what this works for you, because even like Billy Ray, they took him off the streets, they put him in this position, this high level executive position, and right away he's like, he's understanding exactly what's going on with the business, how to watch the stock market. It's not exactly rocket science. It's buy low, sell high. That's the minimum you need to know. Unfortunately, there's way more going on than that typically with these things, but at least he recognized the pattern. So it showed you how intelligent Eddie Murphy's character was from the word go. He was just in a not a great starting spot, whereas Lewis was in this great starting spot and he got reduced. So as stupid as the setup sounds for this movie, oh, we're going to make this rich guy poor and we're going to make the poor guy rich. Somewhere in there, they got the characters right. They got the right cast. They had the right script, and it felt balanced. So they could go fluctuating back and forth. And when they needed to, they came together as like this great team to bring down the Dukes, which were the complete assholes that waged $1 on fucking with their lives, which is absolutely ridiculous and one of the best punchlines of this movie, because it comes around and bites them in the ass in the end. Because Billy Ray and Lewis in the end were like, oh, I bet him $1. We couldn't fuck you guys and get rich at the same time. I win. And then Lewis is like, yep, here's your $1. $1.
Thank you.
Which is fucking fantastic. If that doesn't make you jump up and go like, yeah, motherfucker, even internally, you don't have to do it, of course, in real life or anything, but make you go like, yeah, that's how you stick to them bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then this ain't your movie for you, but for me, this movie's fantastic all the way around.
Well,
It's got good messaging, good characters, good story, well directed, well paced. I think it's really good as a comedy.
Well, I love the shock on the Duke's face when they're like, how can you do this to us after everything we've done for you? Like, bitch, really? Like, wow. Yeah. Fuck you.
Well, and then Mortimer falls over and he's half dying on the ground, and all he can say is like, fuck him.
Fuck him.
It's fucking fantastic. He doesn't give a shit about his brother as he's dying from a stroke on the ground. Yeah. And then when they're leaving, he's like, where's Clarence Beeks? Where's Clarence Beeks? And then Eddie or Billy Ray and like Lewis are like, oh yeah, what happened to him? The timing is impeccable with this movie.
It really was. Like, I wish, I don't know how that Blu-ray is with the special features, but I wish that there's a decent amount of behind the scenes, because it would be fun to watch them do their craft. And like, professional, like, legends. These two are legends.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee is pretty much as close to royalty as America has.
Pretty much.
So it's like anytime you get to see her, whatever the movie is, it's going to be a treat because she's awesome.
Well, she's in Borderlands next year, the video game movie that's coming out in the springtime, I believe. They
made a movie of Borderlands?
Yep.
I did not know that.
We will see how well that turns out,
though. Shit. Well,
later this month on our first live stream, we're going to be talking about some of these movies coming out. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. See if anything can get me back into the cinemas.
There might be one or two.
I think the last movie I saw in the theater was probably Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think.
Okay. Yeah, the only movie that's kind of coming out this year from like any of the cast from like this crew, I believe is just Eddie Murphy's Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley, but that's a Netflix movie. I actually don't know if that's going to be in theaters or not. Probably not. It should be. Netflix needs to get off their ass and put some of their movies in theaters, even if it's only just for like 2 to 3 weeks or 30 days. Then you put it right on your streaming service. This year, 2024 is kind of like desolate with movies. I tell them to put out the fucking Beverly Hills Cop movie. I swear to God, I hope it's better than Beverly Hills Cop 3. But I'm cautiously optimistic about that. He just had the Candyland Christmas movie come out on Prime. That wasn't great. So we shall see about. Although I like the Dolomite movie he did a couple years ago on Netflix, which was really good. But I'd like to see old school Eddie Murphy. We're probably never going to get that, though.
No, and I had heard he was going to do one more stand-up. Like, Keenan Ivory Wayans wrote Delirious and Raw, and Keenan is a brilliant comedian. But
dude, the Wayans brothers in living color. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But Eddie's got the most brilliant timing, and his voices and characters that he can invoke are fucking brilliant. And Delirious is the comedy, the stand-up comedy that you watch to learn how to be a good stand-up comedian or what a great stand-up can be.
Right.
Even in handling hecklers and jokes that don't date well, how to keep those at bay.
Yeah, it's a great duo. I'd love to see more of that kind of work together, but I don't know what's going on with that behind the scenes.
When you finally get to see them together, it was a laugh riot, is what it was. Like Dan Ankroyd, as Michael Joseph, and they start doing the whatever chant that they were doing it.
Kapui kapui kaya, kapui kapui kaya.
And he lights a big old doobie right next to Mr. Beaks. It's like, oh my God. Like you didn't think it was going to get worse than it did. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it was so fantastic. Between Coleman coming in as the drunk Irish priest.
Denholm Elliott, oh my fucking God, had probably one of the best lines of this movie.
This, I think, is probably the best movie I've seen him in. Like, way, way better than playing Marcus Brody, which was cool.
In Raiders and Last Crusade for Indiana Jones. Yes, that Marcus Brody is the butler in this movie. And I think he's got one of the best lines when Billy Ray's going into the office for the first time. And he's like, man, what do they want me to do here? And basically what it says is, just be yourself, sir. Regardless, they can't take that away from you. And,
that's right.
And that is one of the most important lines in this movie that basically applies to the whole movie. Regardless, just be yourself. They can't take that away from you. So just be yourself.
And
that's a great line.
That was also a great moment for Coleman because you could tell like there was regret in his face when he was pretending not to know Lewis.
He hated that shit, but Lewis was not his boss. The Dukes were his boss.
Yeah.
And because even when he took that first phone call and And after they hung up, he's like, scumbags.
They're fuckers, because they even say they've done this before.
I know. That's where you maybe could do another movie if it's like a quote unquote prequel. But like most of these older actors have passed on. So you can't really go back and do this again. That's why I'm saying, like, never remake it, but like they give you enough of a background of these guys are assholes and they will fuck everybody over just for a measly
$1. And it was over the debate of nature versus nurture.
Yep.
Is Billy Ray a criminal because he grew up in an impoverished community, in a bad school, never had any education or opportunity?
Yeah, we was broke.
Sports. Or is it simply because his genetics? And you're just wow, he just said that. Okay, and he's like, he's
a couple of times in this movie.
He's been crawling.
So if you're sensitive about that, be warned.
Yeah, like it kind of slaps you in the face, like, oh, he just said that. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And then even Billy Ray's got that look of, oh my God, that's not okay. Granted, they were talking specifically about Billy Ray in the bathroom, but still,
right.
That was harsh. And especially when there was such a vulnerable moment for him, like
smoking weed and everything. Yeah.
in the executive men's room.
Yeah. I thought that was funny when he was cleaning out the drawer after Lewis tried to plant the drugs on him. And he was like, he sees the tube and he's just like, in my pocket it goes.
Yeah. Marijuana.
The rest of this, fuck that.
Yeah, the uppers, downers, screamers, reds. The EpiPen. But I mean, you felt bad for him. I mean, obviously, you're supposed to.
You felt bad for both of them. It's like, man, these two guys didn't need to get fucked with, but they did.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they also learned like very important survival skills and lessons, and to work together to bring down the real assholes in the story. So it's a bit of an uplifting story in the end.
Well, I mean, Lewis had to learn humility and not to be so high society. The woman that he loved was an absolute whore, and Lord knows she got an HPV 5 times before he got out of fucking prison.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, right, Todd. There's this moment where he tells Jamie Lee, "You're a prostitute," and that you could see a look on her face like he just kind of hit her.
Yep.
And she had thick enough skin to not let it get to her so much.
Yes.
But she turns out to be the person that cares about him. So he learns that all these things that he knows about high society is wrong. And that normal folks are sometimes just better folks.
And hardworking folks. They may not have the most glamorous or honest or whatever kind of job, but they're all just trying to get by and survive. And then he ends up finding out that she's saved up $42,000 and she's trying to stop doing what it's not like she likes her job. Most of us don't like our job, just saying, but we're all working hard to get to a point where we don't have to do the same shit every fucking day. Like, I'd love to not do my job. I'd love that. I'd love to just do this more often, but until we get to a better point in life, in real life, that's just not going to happen, but we keep on working anyway. And that's the same thing that applies for a lot of people. That's what brings you into this movie on a very good, like, how can I relate to this movie? You're talking about some rich ass and some poor ass. Jamie Lee is the middle ground in this movie where she's what brings everything together. And I'm not going to say metaphorically in a sandwich because that sounds like a three-way, and you're welcome for that image, everybody. But non-metaphorically speaking, she's what brings the movie together, and she brings the heart and the compassion to Lewis because we feel like he's a pompous ass for a good portion of this movie. We feel like Billy Ray is this guy who's trying to, you know, pilfer the system, so to speak. He's this blind veteran trying to like scam money off of people. And then he's brought up to another level. But you got Jamie Lee, so Ophelia, who ends up bringing everything together and gives it the emotional core that this movie so desperately needed, and it worked.
Yeah. And I like her explanation of it, where she's taking care of him while he's sick. I'm just looking out for my investment.
And later on, you find out, yeah, the investment is I'm actually starting to like you. So sit there and shut the fuck up while I keep you warm.
And it was very, very sweet.
Yeah.
And it was the ultimate moral and themes of the movie are loyalty and friendship and the things that really count, as opposed to this card and that card and pork bellies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which the pork bellies was fucked up because they're mansplaining how to
God, that was the fourth wall break. Oh my God.
Now, pork bellies are for bacon, which you might find in a bacon and lettuce tomato sandwich. And then he
looks at the screen, and we're all thinking the same thing as an audience member, as he is like, "You really have to explain it like that to me, dumbass."
Man, fuck you.
I'm not dumb. I get it.
But there's something for everybody in this, and it's still enjoyable. I mean, yes, there's some slurs that really make you flinch and when you hear it, but if you can get past it, you're gonna laugh. Pretty much anyone that says something or does something horrible has something horrible happen to them.
Pretty much. It's not like it's not something that comes around to bite them in the ass. It's a little bit of karma going on if you are into that sort of thing. Like, you're a bad person to these people, bad things will end up happening to you, and they do. Like, the Dukes lose their seats on the stock exchange. They owe $394 million that they don't have to pay for everything that they lost and they owe to the stock exchange and everybody else. And, you know, heart attacks galore and broke as hell, and everybody's rich from it.
For 5 years, they were on the streets. 5 years that they were on the streets homeless.
Yeah.
I meant to get a picture of it. I had it. It was super duper small. They're in Coming to America. Eddie gives them either a wad of cash or
I don't remember this.
He was taking the girl out to dinner, and he was trying to like just get rid of the money so he didn't have it and didn't look rich. And I want to say he gives Randolph and Mortimer the money. And they're like, "Oh, we can get into startup again." Yeah. And then I don't know what happened to them after that.
Well, those two actors were fantastic being bad guys.
Mortimer, I think, after whatever happened to Randolph, he went off and had a Bigfoot hunting store. Changed his name to Henderson.
Oh no, I'm not. We are not doing Harry and the Hendersons on this fucking show.
No.
Fuck! Don't even. No.
Yeah.
No. If we're gonna do a John Lithgow movie, let's do something fun like Raising Cain.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, you put a comment. First person to put the Raising Cain comment below, we will make that in one of our spring/summer movies that we do.
I have that somewhere around here, although I couldn't.
I do too. I'm gonna have to dig it out though somewhere.
I'm trying to see what.
I think it's the DVD. I think Scream Factory put out the Blu-ray though.
Oh, there's a Blu-ray?
I think so.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I know I have the DVD. I found that here used, stolen, what have you.
I'm going to Blu-ray.com and I'm going to check this out. Yes, Raising Cain, 2016. That was Shout Factory, and it is less than $20.
Nice.
And holy shit, The Expanse is less than $60. Wow. Okay.
That's cool.
Right on. So anybody looking for good money deals on Blu-rays and stuff, go to Blu-ray.com. They got a great little website.
I will have to check that out.
Yeah. Of course, use our affiliate link in the description below for this movie, and you can maybe kick us a few cents for our little affiliation with Amazon. They only kick us a few cents, but if you buy the Blu-ray for Trading Places from Paramount Plus, because they do have a newer Blu-ray out with a really nice transfer. It's not perfect. I'd love a 4K of it. This is one I would buy. But in the meantime, there's a great Blu-ray out there for you. And it's very much in stock. You're not going to pay overprice on it. Go get it.
Yeah, this is going to be one I will add to my collection. My wife needs to see this. I don't know that she's going to like it.
Really?
Yeah, Brandy has this thing, like, she doesn't believe in movies that predate 1984. So this is going to be like right on that ball sack there. And I'm like, I don't know.
Why is that? I'm actually curious.
I don't know. Like, she doesn't like black and white movies. And to a large degree, I get that. Like, I hate John Wayne.
So she doesn't like Eddie Murphy and Dan Ankroyd. Gotcha.
No, it would have to depend upon the movie. Like, older type movies, older comedies, she doesn't really care for them.
Get the fuck out!
I can't say that anymore. I'm owned. I ain't got no place else to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there is.
That's the last one, folks. I'm sorry. I'm having fun.
Well, I'll raise your Milton. Anyway. It's fucking
Okay, I'll be back in 5 seconds. Jamie was incredibly beautiful in this movie. And that's just being honest and sophisticated about an answer here. She was a smoke show.
I love her so much. Like, she's just the coolest person in my eyes. I mean, yes, she's Laurie Strode and she's Ophelia in this, and I can't remember.
And the wife in True Lies, where she danced slow, dance.
Which she looked even better in that than she did this. And I don't mean
I know.
She's just awesome. She's awesome.
So we'll do True Lies this summer. Don't worry, everybody.
And
that's
you know
our
what?
4th of July show.
They were going to, there was a bid to remake The Princess Bride. And she basically threw it down on the table that that's a 5-star movie. That is the perfect movie. And it doesn't need to be remade. And Disney backed the fuck off. They're like, okay.
Dude, True Lies, she could throw me down on the table and say whatever she wanted to.
Tia's in that too, so which I still say Tia has the best version of Ballroom Blitz ever.
It's into the Ballroom Blitz.
I'm gonna go watch Wayne's World after that.
Are you saying we need to do Wayne's World now? Oh man, we're bolstering up our schedule, and it's not even the new year. It's New Year's Eve, everybody, and we're recording 0-Point reviews with Trading Places, bitches.
I would have to say that SNL had 2 good decades of comedy where they had stars that could produce good movies and keep producing good movies. I don't know that they had that past Wayne's World. I mean, yeah,
I never really watched after Mike Myers left the show, so I actually don't know.
Superstar was not all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah, that was.
It was okay.
I like Will Ferrell in some of his movies right after he left, but that's about it.
I like Old School.
If you ain't first, you're last. Talladega Nights Show.
I just like, we're going streaking! Woo!
Oh, and how his wife left him for some dude named Andy Dick.
Oh, God.
That's enough dick jokes for this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Mayer. Fucking hate that dude.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm gonna 0 Point so hard. I miss Phil Hartman. I'm sorry.
If we had gotten a Phil Hartman in this show, that'd be dope.
Oh gosh, yes. I would have liked to have seen him in a like Pee-wee movie. Had Pee-wee not gotten in trouble in 90 or 91, whatever it was, and Phil not gotten near anywhere, and Andy Dick and his wife, I would have liked to have seen them in a movie together. I think that would have been funny as hell. Like more so than just the few seconds or minutes they had on the TV show.
Right.
I've 0-pointed again.
Oh, this is what you do, buddy. It's okay.
I just had to look at the screen like, wait, what movie are we talking about? Oh, yes, that's right.
One with Eddie Murphy and Dan Ankroyd. No, this is not The Golden Child. Well, The Knife.
I love
Charles
that.
Dance, who was fantastic in that movie. Just saying.
I like the lady that had the half snake tail and was addicted to cigarettes, Pall Malls, and fucking soap operas. It's like, yeah, cool.
Put out their cools on my rug.
That was fucked up. Like, who does that?
Yeah, that was pretty legit about that one.
The party was
what cools were.
Well, the neat thing is they didn't have him go through something incredibly long and stupid where it's like he finds out none of these people are his friends. He just instantly knows these guys are all fucking freeloaders and just here fucking up my house because there's free booze and drugs and shit. Somebody even brought a dead hooker to the fucking party and nobody goddamn noticed.
God damn it, Tony.
Like,
again?
seriously, that chick is lying there and does not move throughout that entire scene.
Did she get roofied? I hope not.
I don't know, but like the guy that was, she's lying her legs across. He's basically sitting there playing the drums on her chin.
At 4 a.m. in the morning, I play the bongos.
It's like, well, shit. If she's not going to fucking wake up, might as well.
Yep.
Slap the skins. Literally. That was the best pun I had. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised. Slacker.
Oh, man. But like I said, yeah, this I want to add to my collection. This I want to try to get my wife to watch. I hope she likes it. I still haven't gotten her to watch Revenge of the Nerds yet. So that's where I'm kind of like, oh, 1983. We'll see how it goes. Like Gremlins and Ghostbusters as far back as I could really push it. Usually.
Oh, I mean, I like Revenge of the Nerds, but that might be a tough sell. This one might be the easier sell of the two, to be honest with you.
I would think so. But like Revenge of the Nerds, I saw that probably when it first hit VHS or
I know, like 85,
Betamax.
86. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like there was no censoring what you were watching with your kids in the room back in the 80s for us. So it's like we just watched Revenge of the Nerds whenever it was on. It's like we had no idea what was going on in the moon room necessarily.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are a bit shady these days when you look back on Revenge of the Nerds. It's like, oh, you cannot make that movie these days. Some people argue you can make any movie any day. You just got to change some things around and it can still work. Not with that movie. Revenge of the Nerds was really good, but also does not age very well at all. This is a movie that does age well. It just, some of the lingo involved with it and some punchlines here and there don't really land. Revenge of the Nerds has a particular scene towards the very end that a lot of people are like, oh, that's not okay.
But that was an awesome concert.
That's not what I'm talking about, dude. There's no amazing about that one.
Amazing.
The mirror room. Yeah. I'm wearing a mask. I'm your boyfriend. Yeah, no, we don't have to go any further than that.
Anyway, yeah. At
least we had Jefferson Darcy in that movie. Just saying.
Ted McGinley's a gift. He really is.
He's God's greatest gift of fucking movies and TV. When he showed up, that show turned awesome, and he was great in Sports Night, going back to his more serious roles. So he's got a wide range. So I like him, but like even like Dan Ankroyd and Eddie Murphy, they can play serious roles too. And oftentimes they play the straight characters to other more comedic characters, and sometimes it's the other way around, and they can really accentuate their comedic skills. This movie played to everybody's strengths. Jamie got to do some everybody got to do a little bit of comedy, a little bit of seriousness, and overall it just made the movie just magical. And it basically ends on New Year's with them screwing over the Dukes. And Merry New Year's, everybody.
Merry New Year's.
Kevin, you got any more slides for us or any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
Just thank you everyone for a wonderful year. We did pretty much plus or minus 52 movies and evolved greatly in just a year. It doesn't seem like we did 52, but we really just wanted to say thank you to everybody and have a happy new year.
Oh, that's a happy new year. Hubba. I'll be back in an hour.
It was either montage or a collage. And I was like, oh, we just do a collage.
I'll give them a collage.
I'm sorry to our female audience. Really sorry.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole.
Pretty much. But thank you, everybody, again. Just to echo Kevin, thank you, everybody, for subscribing to us, tuning in, following our content. We've got our backlog of podcast episodes loading up every Friday. We're going to keep that rolling until we get caught up. And then guess what? Our podcast episodes are going to be it's going to be current. We're going to have more video content with that. We're going to be doing some live streams. We're going to be doing a few different things, and we got some fun content on the way. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Merry New Year's to you all. We'll see you in 2024.
Yeah. Get the fuck out.
Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.